Hello. Well, today's session, I wanted to share, give you a sneak peek into some of the key messages I will be sharing in my International Women's Day keynotes next month. Well, next month's pretty soon, it's next week. In March, I have quite a number of keynotes that I will be delivering in March. Um, One of the keynotes that I will be delivering will be part of the Business Chicks roadshow tour that they'll be having. They are having an International Women's Day event in pretty much every city, at least seven that I know of. And this year, I am extremely thrilled, excited, blessed, grateful to be speaking at four of them. So I will be speaking at Sydney on the 11th. I will be speaking at Adelaide on the 12th. And I'll be speaking at Brisbane on the 18th and Gold Coast on the 20th. Gold Coast, I won't be able to stay after the event to meet all you gorgeous Gold Coast people. I have to leave actually straight after my keynote at 9 sharp. So I make it in time for my next keynote. However, I live in the Gold Coast. So message me on, well, you can't message me on LinkedIn because it's been hacked. It's been hacked. Message me on Instagram. Hopefully that is okay. Still, or you can message me at hello@winifred.com. Okay, I'd love to hear you, meet you in person, all of that jazz. And so for those that, if you want tickets to Business Chicks, you can get it from their website. Um, and purchase it through the website. Tickets are about $195. It's a breakfast event. You'll get breakfast, meet some really fabulous people, and you will hear from myself as well as some other like really amazing speakers. So I'm grateful to be blessed in their company. So I wanted to share and give you a sneak peek into some of the key messages that I'll be speaking about this International Women's Day at all the keynotes. And that is really around the central theme around how do we reclaim our power. So, as an inclusion expert, I have been talking for years and doing training and advising companies and consulting and running workshops and doing strategy sessions on systemic equality and injustice for not just women, but for all marginalized folk. I have talked at length about it. This International Women's Day, it's specifically for women. So I will be talking about how we can reclaim our power. And this will be based on my new book called Back Yourself, How to Get Out of Your Own Way and Take Your Spot in the World. That book is actually for all people, but I'm basing the keynote on some of those messages because they're really, really important for all women and marginalized folk today. And that's really about how do you reclaim your power. And so, one of the messages that I'll be talking about in my keynote is the central idea about one of the ways that we can reclaim our power is by owning who we are unapologetically and unashamedly in the world. And every time we don't do that, we actually become part of the problem. Because what it means is rather than standing out for who we are, we're fitting in. Now, look, I understand that the reason why we fit in, the reason why we sacrifice our identity for acceptance, the reason why we make ourselves and our existence uncomfortable so that others feel comfortable being around us. I understand that that's usually about safety. And you can hear some noise in the background. That is my dog drinking water at this. He has fabulous timing. What can I say? He has fabulous timing. And when he drinks, Jesus, he drinks. Oh my God, I love you, Bubbles. But seriously, you're just doing that to annoy me. Oh, so yes, so we need to for a moment there, I got distracted speaking to my dog instead of my brain. So one of the key messages I talk about is, we need to reclaim our sense of self, because I think for a lot of us, we've actually drifted away from who we are. What I know for women and for all marginalized folk is that leadership for us is not about becoming. It's not about becoming a leader. It's not about becoming this version of who we think a leader is. It's about coming back to the essence of who we are. It's about letting go of all of that internalized misogyny, all of that internalized oppression, shedding it and letting it go and being us unapologetically in the world. So I understand that that journey is really, really hard. And I understand that journey is difficult because the primary reason why we code switch, which is an inclusion term for um, being someone in front of a certain group of people or in certain situations, for example, work as a mechanism to keep ourselves safe. At what point is it worth it? Right? At what point is it worth it? I understand that we've got to put food on the table. I understand that we need jobs and business and employment to look after our families and our communities. And I understand that we want to thrive in our life and not just survive. And the question that I have is, is it worth it? I think the real work for us around leadership as women and as marginalized folk is really around building a sense of safety in our body so that we can be safe in the world. Building a sense of safety in our body so that we can be safe in the world to be us, because there are absolutely things in the world that we can't control. There are absolutely things in the world that are beyond our level of control. A systemic injustice, a lack of human rights, and a lack of justice in the world for women and marginalized folk. And when it comes to the workplace, my encouragement to you is to own all of you, who you are, unapologetically, unashamedly. So the one side of it is I understand that this is about safety. Code switching is about safety. And on the other hand, if we don't, there are many paradoxical truths to inclusion. And one of them is that if we can, fit in and change who we are just to have acceptance or just to lessen the discomfort for us, then we actually become part of the problem because we're feeding into people's narratives of these unrealistic narratives of who people think we should be and exist in the world. So that is what I'll be sharing about in my keynote, essentially. I'll also be debunking a couple of things, like how putting yourself first is not about you being patriarchal, is not about you being overly masculine, is not about you being Western or masculine in the way that you lead and the way that you behave. It's putting yourself first is often associated with masculine energy, and it's associated with the patriarchal ways of leading. And for marginalized folk, what I know to be true is that we have not been putting ourselves first. We're putting everyone first because we know what pain and suffering feels like. We know what pain and suffering feels like. And so we seek to alleviate pain and suffering for other people who have a shared and similar lived experience to us. And so what we end up doing is we end up over serving. I know for myself, I did that for many years. In inclusion, we would call that a savior complex. And what we've been doing is we've been essentially saving others to avoid saving ourselves. We've been saving others at the expense of our own sense of well-being. So serving absolutely releases hormones that can increase mood and well-being. But when we overserve, when we overgive ourselves and actually put ourselves last, it actually has the opposite effect. It releases stress hormones, which then cortisol, and all the stress hormones have a very negative effect on the body, and it can make us physically unwell. How can we continue serving? How can we continue the work of advocacy if we are unwell, if we are physically unwell, if we are mentally, spiritually, sexually, psychologically unwell? How can we continue to do that work? And by sexually unwell, I don't mean what you're thinking. I mean in terms of our sexual energy, our ownership over our sexual identity, and whatever that means and looks like and is true for you. So there are many, many ways that we oppress ourselves. And one of the ways that we do that, I think, is by actually putting ourselves last. And so one of the messages that I'll be giving to people to help them reclaim their power is to actually put themselves first. It's not about being ego. It's not about being narcissistic. It's not about being patriarchal. It's about taking responsibility for your one life, because your primary responsibility and your sole purpose in life is to take care of yourself. Okay? And Audre Lorde had a quote, which is self-care It's a political act of warfare. What that meant is when you take care of yourself, you can actually continue to take care of others. And actually, part of your job is to take care of others, is to take care of your sisters, is to take care of other marginalized community. But you cannot be doing that if you are overspent, exhausted, and absolutely frizzled out. So I'm going to end this here because I can hear my dog getting ants in the pants. And there's some of the messages that I will be speaking. I still have room in my calendar for International Women's Day and also for Harmony Day, which is coming up in March as well. So if you would like a dynamic speaker that changes the way that people think, that therefore changes the way that they behave and act and feel, if you would really like to move your audience so that their their soul and their essence of who they are has been shifted, then I am the speaker for you. So whether it's motivation, leadership, business, or the lived experience of marginalized folk and looking at things from an inclusion perspective, if you would like me to speak at your event, please contact me at hello@winifred.com, not just for March, but for all throughout the year. If you would like a dynamic speaker that has beautiful brown skin and whose dog will often intervene a lot of the meetings that we will have on Zoom preparing for the keynote, I am your person. I guarantee you my dog is very cute. And Bubbles is his name. So I'd love to hear from you. Get in contact if you have any questions about some of the keynotes that I can deliver around business, innovation, change, leadership teams, and inclusion. Let me know. Other than that, all information is available at hello@winifred.com. Love to hear from you soon. Take care.